my little fishes, Courtney Mermaid here, and welcome back to my channel where I bring you mermaid related content to help you live life so mermaid. And today is an awesome day because we are going to be looking at the mermaid tail coloring challenge piece that I did for patreonpod.com. So if you are unfamiliar with what I am talking about or you missed the January post, I will leave it up in the cards as well as link to it in the description box down below. This is something new that I came out with for 2019 for my Patreon pod family. It's a mermaid tail coloring challenge, and basically every month I provide a piece of my artwork for my Patreon pod to color in. Now be sure to stay till the end of the video to see some of the beautiful pieces that were created in January. And if you are at all interested in checking it out and joining in on the February challenge, I will leave links to our Patreon pod down in the description box down below. So I can't really tell you where the inspiration came from for this mermaid tail. I had started noodling away for something else and it ended up turning into a piece that I thought would be a lot of fun for my patrons to color in because it had a lot of different pieces and a lot of different details. And I know personally I like it when there's a lot of different lines so I can have a lot of different colors and I get to experiment and maybe even do one more pass at it. Something I don't typically do is actually all of these additional scales. I actually, for the mermaid tails that I make and sell, I have what I call scale sheets, and I use those and only make them once. So I don't have to redraw them every time. But for these fun little coloring page ones, sometimes it's interesting to include all of the scales as I go individually. It can be a little bit of a pain to get them to line up, but it's still pretty fun. I wasn't really sure what to expect from the coloring challenge. For January, I wasn't sure how people would respond to it, and I was super excited to see how many people participated and how many people participated more than once and actually submitted more than one piece for me to check out. It's super cool, and what I'm trying to do is to pick out of the lot that is submitted to me the sort of 3 to 5 of my favorites and then share them on social media, which will be my Twitter and my Instagram, as well as the end of these little videos, because I'm planning on doing these monthly as well because it's fun to kind of show you guys my process as well as to have an opportunity to color it in myself, because you know what, I like to participate too. In terms of the colors I picked, I decided to go with something a little bit different. I've been doing a lot of work in the sort of reds and oranges, very warm colors. So I thought, why not attempt something a little bit different? And what I like to do first is fill in the entire piece with the base color, because a fun thing that Sketchbook Pro features is a preserve transparency function. So I'm able to basically act like a mask, and I can do all of the work I need to and then paint over it without worrying about painting outside the lines, which is a little bit, you know, it can be stressful when you're coloring something and you want to stay in your lines nicely. So this gives a little bit of help with that, which is pretty cool. And yeah, for anybody who's curious what program I'm using for this, I am using Sketchbook Pro on my iPad Pro. This is not what I use typically to design tails for clients. I actually usually work in Photoshop, and I can thank the lovely Tanny Chu. She's got a mermaid tail design challenge going on, which is pretty fun, and if you ever pop by one of my Workshop Wednesday live streams, you will oftentimes catch me working on a piece for that. But she had let me know, she's like, oh yeah, Sketchbook Pro, it's the way to do it because you can see in real time while you're working, you can see both sides being done together. And for a mermaid tail, you know, especially one that's going to be completely symmetrical on both sides, this can be a real advantage when you're designing, because instead of having to work one side and then mirror it and then make changes and then mirror it again and then you know, back and forth until you're blue in the face, it's just nice to be able to go and have that immediate response. You see it right away, the real time, you know, is this working, is it not working, and all that kind of thing. So for me personally with this design, I'm still kind of 50-50 on the size of the pectoral fins. I was like, could I have made the fluke bigger? I don't know, maybe. So I went back and forth with that for a little bit, trying to decide what it was I wanted to do. The big life choices here, guys. It was very serious. But yeah, that's where we're at. And if you're interested again in joining in for the February Mermaid Tail Coloring Challenge, the page should be up by the time this goes up. and that's available over at patreonpod.com. For less than the price of a cup of coffee a month, you gain access not only to this monthly mermaid tail coloring challenge, but you also gain access to our behind the scenes Patreon feed, our monthly private live stream, as well as our private Discord community chat. And there are more options and different tiers and all kinds of other goodies. Again, that was over at patreonpod.com, and we would love to have you join us. And if you liked today's video, please feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the pod and the bell notification as well so you never miss an upload. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video. Happy swimming! Bye!